And it is so funny to see these white girls scramble to try and get my respect back after they realized that being mean to black girls wasn't cool anymore. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Kira. Subscribe if you're new, and without further ado, let's get into today's video. So today I decided to spill the tea. I am going to be talking about my experience with white women during the uprising of BLM last summer, aka performative activism station. So the reason I took like a year to make this video is because obviously at the time, those people were still, closer to me and would have been like super offended. And that was a year ago when I still gave a shit about offending people, period. This year, first of all, I don't really think they're gonna see it. Second of all, if they do, if you see this and you're watching this right now, you were there. I'm not over exaggerating anything. And also I wanna say though, if anybody who I am talking about in this situation sees this video, please do not reach out to me and talk about it. I'm not here for that right now. That actually kind of has to do with the story also. So, for context, this was, okay, so obviously 2020, right after George Floyd gets murdered. Now, I had just graduated from university, but I had been living in Canada for a few months at that point because I came home when the pandemic started. And so there was a group of girls that there was a Snapchat group chat, okay, filled with white women plus me and one other person who is not white. But for the most part, the group was white women. However, what is also relevant to this story is the fact that it was one of those group chats with a lot of women in it where, because there was like 7 or 8 of us in the group chat where it's like really not one big group of friends. It's really like 2 groups of friends that are kind of contentious towards each other and pretend to like each other, even though they usually don't actually really fuck with each other. You know those ones? It's one of those. So another part that's important to note is a lot of the reason for the division was that one group among the 2 groups within the group consisted of people who had said things that were racist, have said things that are homophobic, and the other group includes non-white people and non-straight people. So you can see why there would be some tension there. And some people were like from the South and very much raised in the South and very much brought their ideologies from the South to the conversation. So that's just context, right? And so basically, I remember this like it was yesterday. I was sitting in my bathtub. I was sitting in the bathtub and I was on my phone. You're like, you were on your phone in the bathtub, Kira? Yes, I had one of those like water protector things. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, so I was in the bathtub on my phone in the morning and I was scrolling through social media and I was seeing George Floyd being murdered all over my timeline, over and over and over again. Just re-traumatize it. Like, it was crazy. You were there. You remember. So, me being I became very emotional. I began to cry in the bathtub. I became very emotional, as one does when seeing people of your own kind get murdered on screen. So, I was very emotional. And I remember I sent a Snapchat to the group while I was in the bathtub. Just my face. I sent a snap and I was crying in the snap because I was crying. And I said something talking about how fucking upset I was. Like, I don't remember exactly what I said. Something like, have you guys seen what happened to George Floyd? I'm bawling my eyes out. Something like that. So I send the Snapchat to the group. The next Snapchat that is sent to the group is from one of the other members of the group, one of the ones who is from the South. She sends a snap to the group saying, You guys, I had the craziest dream last night. And then goes on to talk about her dream. She had seen my snap. And then one of the other members of the group snaps the group, responds to white girl number one. I'm gonna need to give these people names, huh? So let's say the first girl who snapped the group about her dream, let's call her Jenny. I'm gonna give all these people really basic white girl names. So let's say the first girl who snapped the group after I did, let's call her Jenny. So, and the next girl who responds, let's call her Sarah. So Sarah then snaps the group, responding to so many people at this point had seen my Snapchat where I'm crying from, anyways. Sarah sends a Snapchat replying to Jenny saying, oh my God, that's crazy, Jenny. You were in my dream too. Nobody addresses what I said. Nobody addresses the black person crying in the group chat. Let's talk about our fucking dreams. So that hurt, right? You can understand, because I remember that day. I remember sitting in the bathtub. I remember crying my eyes out. I remember being fucking terrified for my life, the life of my future husband, children, all of that. I remember that. And I remember these bitches talking about their dreams. That's what I remember. That's what I remember was important to them at that time. That's an important part of the story. So that happened. And then now what's also important to, I guess, put into the story is, again, you were there, you remember this was kind of a pivotal point in our society when people's voices, everybody's voices, I'm not just talking about white people finally starting to talk about racism, I mean like my voice started to expand and I started to get more confident in speaking on things that I would not normally have talked about on social media, and so did everybody else. Like it was a very pivotal time in the way we started to use our voice. So that was the first day that I went to Instagram and I like posted, it was like a picture of the sky and I had overlaid like a bunch of text of how I felt on the situation. And it started to get a lot of shares, and like a bunch of people that I knew from school were sharing it, a bunch of people were sharing it. And then it became clear within, like, I'm really thinking the day that George Floyd died, like in that morning to that afternoon was like that was the last hours where what was done in the group chat was any kind of acceptable. Does that make sense? Like, because by noon, if you weren't talking about this shit, if you hadn't said something about BLM, you were canceled. Do you remember that? And that's when the performative activism started to amp up, because people, white girls everywhere, including the ones in the group chat, were like, oh shit, I can't just ignore this black girl crying and I have to talk about it now. Oh, okay. And then they got their shit together and they started to perform the activism, right? So my point is, what they did in the morning, they thought was okay. And then it started to, within the next few hours and the next few days, that kind of behavior wasn't okay anymore. Does that make sense? And so they started to post about it. The white girls who had ignored me in the group chat started to post about BLM on their social media accounts, right? And you wanna know something fucking hilarious? This is fucking hilarious. And this is honestly like kind of after the point in the story that I really wanna get to, like after the climax of the story, but we found this out later. So the people who were in that group of 7 or 8 people who were actually my friends, we had our own group chat as well. As I'm sure the other people in the group must have had their own group chat too. But so the people in the group chat who I was actually friends with, one day, one of them asked if we could see, she was like, hey, can any of you see Jenny's story on Instagram? And a bunch of us go and check and we're like, no. And then one of my friends, a different friend, was like, yeah, I can. So we were like, and then the friend who asked that, she was like, yeah, because I saw Jenny post some fitness content on Facebook and it looked like it was an Instagram story. But when I went to her Instagram, it wasn't there. And so basically what we found out had happened was that these girls, both Jenny and not Sarah, but the other one who I'm getting to, who we'll call Nicole. Jenny and Nicole, and specifically, were pyramid scheme girls, and like would post fitness content sometimes. And so I want to make it clear, you are allowed to post fitness content. Like, that doesn't affect, you know that. Who I'm talking to, the person watching this video, you know that. But for some reason, Jenny and Nicole, whenever they were posting workout shit, they would block me and my friends from their Instagram stories, but made sure to unblock us when they were posting their BLM shit. Now, that is as performative as it gets. That is as performative as it gets. You block the black person from seeing your non-BLM content, but make sure to unblock her so that she can see that you hashtag BLM in your story. Are you fucking serious? Are you fucking serious? Anyways, so that happened, right? And so, okay, so obviously more and more people are talking about BLM. Then we had Black Square Tuesday. And more things continued to happen. And then, so Nicole snaps the group chat that is like so fucking fake. We're all pretending to be friends. We're clearly not friends, but she snaps the group chat. Something about she had just gotten some sort of mouth surgery. I don't really know what it was, and that she was in pain. Now, for context, during this time, this is during BLM, during this time, there's protests happening fucking everywhere. People are getting shot with rubber bullets. People are getting held in custody and having to get bailed out, all of this stuff. And I'm supposed to stop all of the turmoil I'm feeling to care about your mouth? Anyway, but my point is, things were crazy at this time. I wasn't sleeping. I literally wasn't sleeping. I was crying all fucking night long. Like, I wasn't sleeping. I was not okay at this time, right? And so she sends a snap to the group chat about how her mouth hurts, and pretty much nobody responded except for Sarah. And another girl who I haven't talked about yet, her name's Alyssa. Well, her fake name is Alyssa. We'll call her Alyssa. So Sarah and Alyssa are the only ones who say anything about Nicole's mouth hurting, right? And then Nicole sends this big, long message in the group chat talking about how, like, oh my God, she was saying, like, honestly, I hate to say it, but I'm not surprised. Like, she started to kind of address the division in the group, but the way she did it was she made it sound like some people of the group only support some people of the group and others never support me at all. And she made it sound basically like we were bad friends to her, right? Like, the people, she was referencing the divide, and we all knew what the divide was. And she was saying people on our side of the divide don't support her as much as she supports us. It's this big, long thing. And then so one of my friends, let's call her Monique. We'll call her Monique. So Monique basically puts Nicole in check and is like, hey, I get that your mouth is hurting, but first of all, I have a lot of personal shit going on in my own life. Second of all, I don't know if you've noticed, but Black people are being slain in the streets. Third of all, have you noticed that you guys actually are not nice to us? And she, Monique basically addressed the history of racism and homophobia on, you know, Nicole, Sarah, Alyssa, Jenny's side of the group. And Nicole, of course, fucking gaslights and ignores, and she's like, no, I haven't. She was like, I have been very vocal during this period of BLM. And she said, ask Kira. She said something like, ask Kira, or I've even reached out to Kira at this point, right? And so at this point, oh, and also my other friend had like said things like, people started on my side of the group, started to respond and say, yeah, you're tripping, Nicole. You're tripping, basically. And so Nicole responds and she says this big long thing of, she basically just denies everything. And she's like, I've supported Kira during this time. And so now to put yourselves in my head, during this time, I had just been sitting back watching the group chat happen and watching the arguments and watching the big long paragraphs and just kind of sitting by the sidelines, because I know that once I jump in, it's over. Like, I know that because I'm not the kind of person that can say like a nice little calm comment to try and diffuse the situation. Like, if I say something, I'm going off. If I say something, it's done. Do you know what I mean? And I knew that once I said something, we're not going back. So I was waiting. And when Nicole put my name in her mouth as the reason why she was not racist, that's when I had, as somebody who had experienced racism from Nicole, I was like, oh, okay, well, now I have to, my name's in your mouth. My name's in your mouth as the reason you're not racist. Now I fucking have to say something. So thank you, because now I have to do this. So my name was in her mouth, so I had to go off. So I write this big long thing. And like I said, I went in because there is no halfway. It's all or nothing for me. It is all or nothing. And so I said all of the things that I'd been holding back my entire college career. Because the thing is, these are the girls. Let me just give you some context. For who was in this conversation and who had the audacity to pretend that we didn't support them when she was talking about her mouth hurting when Black people are being slain in the streets. So when I got to university, I didn't have the voice I have now. Just so you know, I didn't have the voice I have now. And I didn't have the confidence in my identity that I do now. And especially surrounding like racial things, I was very confused in my identity. And when I tried to speak up about things, I wasn't as articulate as I am now. So like so basically like I was in a dance history class with a white woman who said a lot of problematic things at the time. And I remember there was one day that she referenced different dancers as they were wearing like they had their faces completely painted and they were wearing these crazy costumes that made it you were unable to tell what their skin color was because their faces were completely painted and they were like covered head to toe. And so she could have just said that, like she could have just said you can't tell what they look like, but she chose to say you can't tell if they're white or dark. And I just was like, why are you afraid to say the word Black? Like, what is wrong with you? And we were in a study session for this dance history class. And it was me, Nicole, Jenny, and one other girl that I was friends with who was Black. And she didn't really talk the whole time because unlike me, she's smart enough to know that you don't argue with stupid because otherwise people don't know who the stupid one is. So she didn't say anything, which is the way to go. Honestly, that was the way to go. But I just said that in passing, how I had a problem with our teacher's comment. And the two white girls told me that I didn't have a right to think there was anything wrong with her comment and how she didn't mean it that way. And she's not racist because the white girls are telling me what's racist and what's not. And I, of course, had a problem with them telling me what is racist and what's not. And this conversation escalated into Nicole telling me about how her Black friends back in the South said it was okay and actually encouraged her to say the N-word as a white person. I was like, I don't really care who told you what, sweetie. That's great. You don't get like your badge of honor. You don't get an N-word pass just because some Black person says you can say it. Honestly, I feel like they might have said that you can say it as a joke because they might think it's funny to watch a white person make a fool of herself. I don't know, but I don't care. I don't care that they said that you can say the N-word. That's really fucking problematic that you're saying that to me in response to bringing up a problem that I had with a teacher saying something racially insensitive. So we got there And then Jenny starts to say this stuff, and it ends up with Jenny saying that I'm talking over her. And I said, you shouldn't even be talking. This is my thing. I remember I said that. But I was so choked up and I was so frustrated. And I wish I had the voice I had today. Obviously, I had to go through what I went through to get the voice I had today. But I couldn't articulate what I was feeling. And I was just so angry with these two white girls gaslighting my racial experience at the school. Like, because I was telling them about a whole bunch of different stuff. And they were just like, no, that didn't happen. No, that wasn't racist. No, blah, blah, blah. And then had the audacity to say that I was overreacting and I was being loud and I was speaking over them. Well, guess what? You're white and you deserve to be spoken over when you just said that some black person you know says you can say the N-word and that's why you should be able to say the N-word. Like, you don't get to talk anymore after that. Duh. And what's funny is Jenny then, my friend, one of my friends who's actually my friend, told me that when she went abroad with Jenny, that Jenny told her about how you can never talk about race with Kira because she'll always speak over you. And it's like, maybe you deserve to be spoken over. You clearly did. And it's just so funny in hindsight, right? Hindsight is 2020. But so that was some of the context of that situation. And then there was another situation that I had with all of them. They were all there. It was after, so we had a dance crew. We had dance crews at our school, and our dance crew had just had our audition, but I wasn't the head of the dance crew at this time, because I was the head of the dance crew for my junior, senior year, so it must have been sophomore year that this happened. So the audition had just happened. In the audition, there was this one black girl who was really good, and I loved her, and I really wanted them to pick her to be put on our crew. I didn't have the decision-making power at that time, but I really wanted them to pick her because she was really good, and she was really good at freestyling. And I remember it was like me, it was a bunch of people, but I very much remember that Sarah and Jenny and Nicole were all there, because they were all in the crew also. So we were all walking back from the studio and we were talking about the audition and we were talking about like who we think we should get in, all this stuff. And I was saying, oh, did you guys see that black girl with the blonde braids? Like, I think she's really good. I hope she gets in. And then like Sarah, Nicole, and Jenny were all like, oh my God, yeah, like she's really good at freestyling, but she just can't pick up the choreo. And like, if you can't pick up the choreo, like at the end of the day, I mean, you're just not good enough, whatever they were saying. And like, it's not that there's no merit to what they said. Like, that is true. You need to be able to pick up the choreo. But the girl wasn't bad at picking up choreo. She just, for me, I see things, I'm trying to look at the bigger picture. So when I see her and she's clearly a very good dancer and she just is like a little bit slower at picking up choreography, to me that says, she probably didn't grow up in a studio setting like we all had the privilege to. She probably is not used to picking up 8 counts like we have been doing our whole life, but she clearly has the talent. And I bet if she was in the studio in that setting for a little bit, she would get there. You know what I mean? I understand that dance is something that you have to be able to afford to have such a dance curriculum that we have. And so not everybody's going to have that, but that doesn't mean they can't be good dancers if we allow them to train with us. That's how I'm looking at it. But they are looking at it like it's an evil playing field, and if you're not, whatever. So they were saying, oh, but she just can't pick up the choreo, whatever. And I was saying, but there's a lot of like inequalities in the system that allow some people to be able to have the training to pick up choreo the way we do, and others not to. Do you want to talk about that? That's exactly what I said. And Sarah said, no. No. And she wasn't the only one that said no. I think they probably all said no, but she was the loudest. She was the loudest. She went, no. No, I don't want to talk about racial inequality. No, I don't want to talk about any reasons why I might not deserve the status that I have in relation to other people, even though it's been handed to me and others just haven't gotten the opportunity. I don't want to talk about that though, because I'm white and I don't have to. So that really bothered me. And these are, I'm telling you these stories because these are the things that I wrote in the group chat, in my big long message. I said, if you don't remember when you were racist, here's when you were racist. Here's all the things you said. And part of my solo that then got taken to American College Dance Association, that I then submitted to a commission, and I got a commission for it. Some of the words that are in that solo came from things that these bitches said to me. And it's like, I just laid it all out. I said everything that ever bought, whatever. And I ended it with, now I don't expect apologies, and I don't want apologies, but I do expect accountability. That's what I said. Do you know why I said that? Because I knew what was gonna happen was, because the thing is, the nature of our society before this time was to forget and to pretend things were okay, right? So they know at this point that they've said things that are racially insensitive. They know that. But they are trying to, well, they're going with the status quo at that time, which was to pretend that we weren't racist and pretend we're on a level playing field now. And I made it so that they couldn't forget that. They couldn't forget what they'd done. And I knew that what was gonna happen now that things were changing was that I was gonna get a bunch of white girl tears apologies in my DMs or in my inbox. And I didn't want that because I'd already been getting so much of that just with the riots in general, like every white person I've ever met reaching out to me, what can I do? I'm here for you, all this shit, heart, including Alyssa, which I wanna get to Alyssa because there is something that really bothers me about the people who were sucking up to me during the uprising of BLM who did not give a shit about me before. Those people, even when Alyssa is someone who I don't see as racist. I never thought she was racist. I don't like her. Do you know I don't like her? Because when I was at school, she did things to hurt me. She said things to hurt me. She said to my friend that I was unhireable because I had a bad attitude. She said that to my friend who obviously would tell me. So why are you saying things about me to my friends who you know are my friends? So, and she did other things, especially when I was in charge of the crew, her and Nicole doing some crazy, just very high school bully shit. Did not give a shit about my feelings. Are in the room in rehearsal with their arms crossed talking shit about me to my friend. Like, these people don't care about me. But all of a sudden, now that black people are on trend, oppression is on trend, BLM is uprising, now you wanna be my best friend? Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. No, for real. And there is something very shady and very, I just can't respect it because the thing is, I understand you're not racist, but I still don't like you because me, who is a black person, when I was in front of your face at school, you were intimidated by me or whatever reasons it was that you decided to come after me. I think it's because I present as a very strong individual, especially when I was in my senior year, I present as a very strong-minded individual. And people think that they can shit on me and they think that they can, and they tried to make me insecure and they tried to upset me and it worked because I am not pretending to be some strong, emotionless woman. I'm a Pisces. I am very sensitive, right? And the things that they did to me when I was in school and the ways that they tried to hurt me and complicate things, and I remember that. And I am a human being and a human person. And now you look really bad because you were mean to a black person, but that doesn't mean I have to accept you with open arms. And that doesn't mean I think you're racist. I just don't like you. But so Alyssa was one of the ones to just really overcompensate for, I think, what was her white guilt. In like, oh, I wasn't so nice to her when we went to school together. Let me overcompensate by acting like I'm very much there for her now. And even if those intentions to be there for me at that moment were true, I am always gonna perceive that as ingenuine because I remember what you said. I remember what you said to me. Or I remember what you said to my friend behind my back that she then told me. And I remember the different ways that you tried to make sure I didn't get what I wanted when we were in the dance crew situation. I remember all the things that happened. And it is so funny to see these white girls scramble to try and get my respect back after they realized that being mean to black girls wasn't cool anymore. So my point was, I ended the message that I sent with, I don't expect apologies, but I do expect accountability. And what did I get? Apologies, apology, apology after apology and apology from these white girls in my inbox saying, and it's funny because they started with, I know you didn't ask for apologies. And I said, I literally didn't ask for apologies because I didn't want this to happen. I didn't want this message that I'm about to read. But all of them, except for Sarah, all of them reach out to me with an apology, heart, all this stuff, including Alyssa, who again, like I said, never did anything racist, just was a bitch to me. I still don't like, you can prove to me now that you're not racist. I still don't like you because you were a bitch to me. And I know that people grow and people change, but it's like, to have that behavior back to back, like very shady behavior with very suck-uppy behavior means I can't respect you now. Cause look what you did. Look at this. Like, do you think I can't read suck up? I'm a Pisces, I can read your fucking mind. Like, yes, I can read suck up. I have no respect for any white person during the uprising or even now who reached out to black people that they really a second before, a day before, did not give a shit about just to make themselves look good. I don't have respect for those people. And that was so many white people during BLM. So many. I don't have respect. If you were not nice to a black person who was in front of your face and then you had to see a black person get murdered on television to decide, hey, maybe I should be nice to the black people in my life, go fuck yourself. Respectfully, go fuck yourself. I don't want your friendship. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what is crazy for me is that all of these girls who then pretended to wake up were either in dances or saw dances that I made that were spoken word pieces about racism and about the things that have happened to me or just starting the conversation. You were there. You know how I felt. You knew what was going on and you spoke over me when I spoke about racism. And you told me I was being too aggressive. And you said to my friend in a different country that talking to Kira about racism is impossible. As a white bitch, you really said that to someone. That's fucking embarrassing. And now you want to come in my inbox, heart, I support you? Oh, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. And it's like, especially within the dance industry, this is what was tricky at the time, but now I don't give a shit. Like, I seriously don't give a shit anymore because before the summer of 2020, specifically in dance, the way people were silenced and spoken over was disgusting. And the secret keeping and the hush hush of who did what. But now I am much more committed to my voice than I am committed to my position in that industry. And I've seen where my voice gets me is way further than being silent within that industry would ever get me. And so now I am committed to the truth and to my voice. And I don't care if people get offended anymore because I'm literally speaking the truth. And what I'm doing is genuinely good for people. What other people, the silencing that other people are committed to is only good for them and for their status and for the continuous oppression of marginalized voices. And so I don't do that anymore. I won't be doing that anymore. And I won't be toning myself down for the sake of making these people comfortable. That's why I'm making this video today, because I realized I was trying to save their feelings and protect their feelings. And I'm like, for what? I have always been it's so interesting the way we're willing to protect people who actually don't give a shit about us. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, after I sent that message, I got messages from Sarah. No, not from Sarah, from Nicole, Jenny, and Alyssa. Sarah did something very interesting, which was leave the group chat right after the black person speaks, which I thought was an interesting choice. Interesting choice of when to skedaddle. But she replied in the group chat and she sent this big long message saying, contrary to popular belief, I didn't just learn what racism is in the past couple weeks, because I had said in my message, I know that some of you are really just starting to understand racism as of late. And I said that because when I brought up talking about racial inequalities, Sarah said no, but then she replied to me saying, contrary to popular belief, I actually didn't just learn what racism was yesterday. To which in my head, my reply was, oh, so you knew what it was, you just didn't care? That's better. That's better. Good on you, Sarah. Yeah, she said, I didn't just learn what it was yesterday. I actually have been aware, whatever. She clearly was very personally offended, and then she left the group chat. She's like, okay, go off. Like, was that a power move for you? To leave after the black person speaks? Okay, Sarah, bye-bye. Like, what do you expect me to do? So that was the last time I talked to Sarah. That was the last time I talked to Jenny. That was the last time I talked to a lot of them, for the most part. And I felt so much better after like really revealing my authentic self and my authentic feelings, because like, oh, there was also like during school, there was a lot of specifically Nicole trying to justify cultural appropriation and telling me that I was wrong and just all this stuff, all the times that I had been spoken over by these white girls about racism, I finally got it off my chest. And it felt really good. And like now, it doesn't matter what they think, because I speak my voice to you, who actually cares. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed my story time. Don't forget to check out my Patreon. I just posted some new things up on there. That will be linked in the description. Check out my podcast, which will be linked in the description. Subscribe. Make sure to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting me, and I will see you soon. Bye.